Right, we've come to the conversational part of this bulletin, and we are discussing AI research and youth engagement in Africa. Let me remind you who our guests are. We are speaking to Joshua Baru. He is an AI and digital economy expert at Kala. Joshua, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We're happy to have you. And of course, he's not alone. We also do have in studio Keith Mbae. He's a data engineer, beg your pardon, and researcher at Kala. Keith, thank you for being here. How are you guys feeling?
Great.
You feeling great?
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome once again. I'm sorry, we're having a technical issue there with our mics, but I'm sure all is well. Right, let's get into a conversation. First of all, I'd like you to define your roles before we get into the conversation of AI. Let me begin with you, Keith.
My name is Keith Mbae. I am a data engineer and AI researcher at Kala. I'm also a pharmacy student at the University of Nairobi. My work mainly involves in looking into what AI is doing, particularly in Kenya and Africa, and how we can contribute positively to its implementation. Positive implementation in Africa and Kenya.
Got you.
Yeah.
Joshua.
Thanks for having me. Joshua
welcome.
Baru is my name. I'm an artificial intelligence researcher at Kala. So basically my work entails making sure that Africa is on the map in this fourth industrial revolution that we are in right now.
Industrial
Yes.
revolution.
Yes.
Wow. Like that sounds so, sci-fi. But let's get into this. Let me begin here. There's a concern that the AI can take over jobs or is taking over jobs. Let's begin from there before we go to the solutions or how it is solving practical issues in there. So again, I'll begin with you.
Okay. I believe it's true. AI will take a lot of jobs. But if you look at it in the positive side, where if you look at me in the late 18th century, if you were rearing horses and horses were the main form of transport, you're getting that as your main mode of income. But comes the 19th century and we are now shifting to cars. And that came with a lot of jobs, industries, and manual laborers, electricians.
That's why you say fourth industrial revolution.
Exactly,
Got you.
exactly, yeah. So AI will, of course, take some jobs, especially those which require automation or low human intelligence. But again, it will come with a lot of jobs.
I see.
As well.
What's your perspective, Joshua?
Well, it's not the first time that humans have been critical of new technology.
Yes.
Even the very definition of emerging technology is one that will disrupt industries, societies, and even the economy at large. When the radio came out, people were resistant towards it. Even when, during the first industrial revolution, people were burning down factories because they were saying it's taking over our jobs. But we have seen, for our society to improve, it must embrace an emerging technology. So yes, I agree that when it comes to prompt engineering is the way to go. How you can prompt an AI to actually give you a good answer. So the guys that are fearing your jobs are going to be replaced by AI, actually the real answer is those who are not using AI are the ones that are going to be replaced by it.
Got you. This artificial intelligence began in 1956, which you do not seem to actually factor in because it is so, it feels like a big thing right now that we cannot imagine what we are experiencing right now began way back when, right? So what version of AI are we in, especially here in the continent? What is it that we are experiencing that we confuse with how the Western world is also using it?
Okay. Currently in Kenya or Africa as a large, we use LLMs, which are large language models, mainly text-based AI. There's also growing use of image-based AI, image generation. It's being used even in the political space. And also decision trees and algorithms, things to do with prediction and forecasting. So we're not far off or using some sort of maybe different models as they, but there's dire need to contextualize whatever models are there to our own context.
I see. Joshua?
Yes, it's true. AI has been here since 1956 when a guy called John McCarthy convened some guys at Dartmouth University to talk about this technology. So we acknowledge him to be the father of AI.
The father of AI.
Yes. Ever since, different iterations have been going around AI, mostly in academia. One of the questions that we must ask ourselves is, why are we discussing AI right now, while it has been here since 1956?
Exactly.
So the reason is ChatGPT 2022. A company, OpenAI, released its model to be open source. Anybody can use it. That's one. Secondly, a vast amount of data. Basically, the definition of AI is systems or machines that can mimic human intelligence. You know, they can do calculations, they can decide autonomously without human intervention, they can recognize patterns, and that depends on a lot of data.
AI being abused because it has so much information in it already, right? So how are we practicing not to use it in a way that can affect us, instead of use it in a way that we can thrive and actually feel free that this thing can help us in our day-to-day life? How is it helping us in our day-to-day life?
Okay, on the being careful for for us not to abuse it, I would say we are making baby steps towards there, but I don't believe we are there yet. We're still talking about education. What is AI? What are its pitfalls? What are its advantages? And I believe with educated masses, then we can now start thinking about the pitfalls or the dangers in privacy and so forth and so forth. Yeah. To answer how we're using AI, if you've scrolled on Instagram or Facebook, you probably used AI. Because there's an algorithm that learns who you are based on what you like, how much time you spend on a post. And from there, there's no one at the meta desk looking at, Keith looked at this for this much, so let me recommend. It's not a human. It's an algorithm, it's AI that sees how much time you've spent, and now they recommend similar content. So we do use AI right now.
We use AI, like you mentioned, in our day-to-day lives. If you're in the city or different places, surveillance material, taking your information, your face, everything, you know. So I think we assume how much of artificial intelligence we actually encounter, right? So break that down for us, especially just in the, you know, confines of our country. Yeah.
We mostly use it through machine learning models. So machine learning is basically a machine learning from data and improving from the data that is fed on the machine. Okay. So think about your spam in the email. So it's the email is able to recognize patterns that this is a phishing email. So the next time it will send it straight to spam. So that's machine learning. On your Netflix, when you teach it that I like these kinds of movies, the next time it's going to learn. That's machine learning. So it's going to make sure that it brings things that you like. Your YouTube, the algorithms that Keith was talking about, that's machine learning. Yeah. Google Maps, you know, when you order your favorite ride-hailing app, Google Maps is AI in action. Social media has thrived on AI. Even guys who use, you know, Grammarly and in academia, Turnitin, that's AI in action. And of course, now we have large language models that Keith talked about. So this, that's a subset of AI that can actually generate AI. So, maybe images or text or videos. So people use that a lot. And of course, the common language that we use is ChatGPT, but there are so many other models out there.
Got you. You're coming up with 2 models that you're curating, if I may say, that's the right word, right? Yeah. So explain to us that, and being a pharmacy student, what kind of information, how are you choosing the information or making this model learn what you want it to learn? And generally, if I have an AI app and I want it to learn stuff, exactly how long, don't say long, you know, will it take?
Okay, so not to preempt so much, but I'm a pharmacy student, and in the College of Health Sciences together with medical students, or even spanning to other faculties, there's so much to learn and so little time. Well, AI comes very crucial and can be very helpful where it can learn how I learn. It can learn how I learn from where my weak areas. you can schedule it to reinforce flashcards over and over again, especially on the weak areas. And
you see where I'm going with this? Yes.
Yeah. It's really wonderful work, and I believe, well, we have a one-size-fits-all in lecture classes where everybody is expected to learn at the same pace, but with AI, it can be contextualized to you as a person. So it's very interesting work that I'm working on.
Okay. You'll make it talk back to you and give you solutions, like I'm in class. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. The thing about text, you don't feel as though it's engaging. You know, it can give you summary answers, beautiful answers, but if it's one-on-one, me talking with it and it's explaining to me why not this, why is this wrong, what should I do about this, it reinforces what I'm learning, and it makes it a more pleasant experience to even learn.
Got you. Now, Joshua, you led the development of the AI Talent Readiness Index, which samples different African countries and was launched in Rwanda, right, in the past summit that we just had, actually. Yes. Now, it's a first of its kind framework to help countries assess their preparedness for AI economy. Elaborate that and exactly why you came up with it.
It's an exciting project that we came up with. It's all African countries, all the 54 African countries. So basically, arguing that AI is indispensable to Africa's prosperity. That if we want to achieve, you know, development on a global scale, the way the global north is, even surpass them, AI is indispensable. So you're looking at how are the different African countries ready to absorb AI and to not only consume AI, but actually develop AI, because we don't want AI Africans to be just consumers of the technology, but developers.
But we are developers, right? Like him?
Yes, but not at scale as we would love to be.
Okay.
We still are too dependent on foreign technology. And again, as history has taught us, the society that is strong on technology is a society that thrives, and the society that is not strong on technology is the one that is absorbed, or the ones that mimic the larger society. So that's why we are igniting, we are catalyzing Africa's digital future in that sense by telling guys we are literally going on top of a mountain and telling the whole African continent, hey, embrace AI from a continental perspective. So we are trying to pull down silos within the different countries, because countries can be very protectionist in nature. So we are trying to tell them, hey, you are so many people in Africa. If you combine your voices, so much can be achieved. So we went out and collected data for the 54 countries in terms of AI talent preparedness. So how we are defining it is how is a given country ready to develop, deploy and retain AI talent within its borders.
Exactly, right. And we are number 4 as Kenya. What does that mean? What does it even mean when we rank number 4, you know, on the AI, you know, this talent readiness index?
Let me specify, it's number 4 in Africa.
Yes, number 4 in Africa, yes.
But not in the world. Which means we, you know, Kenya, I meet very brilliant people with brilliant innovations. But then there's some things to do with governance or compute. Compute is like the resources that you need to process all of the images and the data that you have. It means that, yes, we are doing well compared to our peers maybe in Africa. But for us to be the true Silicon Savannah, I believe we need to invest much more in compute. We need to be very, very proactive or early in implementing AI curriculums in universities. We need to foster these things. I was saying recently, President Trump, or even in China, it's now mandatory to learn AI from a very young age. And if you can compare that person whether he or she has learned AI from 6 years now, imagine when he or she is 20 years, 30 years. He or she will be very versatile with AI. But right now we are still talking about data privacy, this, that. You know, I believe the time to talk about these things is right now, much more even yesterday. Right now, we should even be implementing these things in our universities. We should have courses by African institutions. We should be talking about how do we support data systems and contextualize.
Is it a question of fear of what people assume it is, as vis-a-vis that you can actually use it to assist you? What do you think it is?
Well, I can give this example. When you're visiting a site and it asks you whether you accept cookies or not, do you say yes or no? Majority of us say no, because we don't know where they're taking our data.
Yeah.
We fear the darkness, we fear the unknown. So yes, definitely. And as I said before, educating the masses. We've been doing masterclasses on AI for various sectors. But if you do know what AI is, and if you do know what AI is, the pitfalls, the strengths, then you can easily scale it into whatever you're doing.
Right. So we have less than 10,000 AI talent in Africa, right, Joshua?
Yes.
So that's a very big concern. But the irony is, the ones who are very skilled, the talent we have, they get poached or they prefer working outside, you know, of the continent because of the massive opportunities. And just to say this work has a lot of pay. So I'm looking at you guys like, hey, with the money. But anyway, that mentioned, speak about, you know, the less than 10,000 AI talent in the continent.
So Africa is a very young population. It's as compared to countries like Germany or Japan, which are aging, it's projected that 1 in 3 workers by 2030 will be Africans. Yeah. So that's a huge demographic power that we have as Africa. However, much of that talent, as you have observed, especially the creme de la creme talent, works for the big tech in technology world. But we are arguing that the talent should build for Africa, because ultimately, for us to solve our own problems, we need our own people to solve our own problems, as opposed to the parachuting effect, where a guy is sitting somewhere in another country, assumes that he or she knows our problems. And then he comes and says, hey, this is your problem, and this is my solution to your problem. And you must implement it. I mean, you have been there. You remember the structural adjustment programs of the 90s, where you know, World Bank came and told us that these are your problems, and this is how you must solve your problems. And that led to a lot of failure economically in Kenya and in Africa generally. So that's why we're arguing that our own talent should solve our own problems. Specifically in AI, we have 3 broad categories of talent. We have AI trainers, like Keith here, who actually train the AI models. He's the one who goes to R or Python or to whichever programming language, and he trains them. And then we have AI explainers, the guys who make sure that AI is usable to me and you. Which is you? Yes, I can be an AI explainer because I am also teaching you about AI. So these subcategories within AI explainers, people who make sure that it's digestible. And then we have AI sustainers, guys who make sure that AI is not going to become evil. Guys who make sure that we are not going to go back. You know, humanity has always feared the AI takeover. Remember I, Robot by Will Smith. Remember also Terminator,
From
yes.
back in the day.
Back in the day. So AI sustainers are the ones who make sure that AI is ethical, it does not cross the line, and it's also representative of our data. Keith will tell you that when most of these AI models started coming out, they were not representative of African data. Yet they are claiming to solve our problems. That is very problematic. There's a guy who asked, who is the president of Africa? And then a white guy was brought. That's not supposed to be the case.
And so the biases also come
come
to the fore.
Yes.
All right. Now let's speak about the identity of African, or rather AI in Africa. Let me say it that way, because like you said, we need to see things that reflect who we are, what we do, the issues, victories, challenges, whatnot, in the continent and individual countries, right? So how is that, you know, made to be, or how is it looking? Are we there, or are we getting there?
Yeah, that's a very good question, particularly even in health. the way our genomics works, the way even the majority of our diseases are not necessarily the ones that are primarily found in the West. So even as we're talking about health innovations for Africa, they need to be contextualized using our own genomic data, our own tropical data, and such things.
Define genomic for those who may not understand.
Okay, yeah. Genomic just denoting to your genes, denoting to the genes which make you who you are. Yeah. So I remember when demoing that, picture me as the president of the world, and it brought out a white man as the president of the world. Well, in the US, major of the politicians are predominantly white male, and so it has been trained using that data, and therefore it gave that output. AI is only as good as the data that you give it. I'm seeing a lot of work being done in Kenya to bring data centers. There's the East Africa Data Center held here in Nairobi, and multiple other data centers. I know Microsoft is doing some work. There's tremendous need to invest in data centers, because that will inform the type of AI models that we have and whether they'll be useful in Africa.
Got you.
On the question, are we there yet? We are slowly crawling. On some areas we're slowly crawling, on some areas we are making tremendous progress. Yeah.
And where's the tremendous, which areas are those with the tremendous progress?
I would say especially with homegrown or native solutions, where you're using your own data, let's say collected by a company or a farm or something. Yeah, there we are doing well. But on the data sharing, there needs to be a lot done. Yeah, in terms of policy and frameworks.
Got you.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the challenges also. Now, the disparity is people in the urban centers have a lot of information, training, understanding, and then now the disparity with people in rural areas who have issues with electricity, even just going to school, like the whole issue of not being able to get or grasp even just basic computer knowledge, that others would have in the urban centers. So where we also looking, how is that also being handled, especially now when we're encouraging people to have the information or knowledge on artificial intelligence?
That's one of the reasons why we did the AI Talent Readiness Index, because that's the story of Africa. We have urban areas, we have rural areas. Even within the urban areas, there are very many demographics that we must look into. So one of the solutions that you're advocating for is for these AI tools to have USSD as an option as well. Right. Where you can type *1112# and then you access your AI tool. Another way is you can incorporate it to WhatsApp so that you don't have to use a lot of computing power. Another way that we're actually doing is using distributed computing so that guys may train models at a cheaper rate. Kithas to do the price of data centers and the price of cloud computing is high for Africa.
It is.
Yes. So one way we beat around that is by using distributed computing, where when computers are lying dormant, we use their CPUs, because GPUs are expensive for the African case. Right. So yes, a lot of differences in how urban areas and rural areas access AI, but I love Kenya, specifically Kenya, because we have seen a surge in guys taking AI courses. There are very many AI courses that are offered out there. Data science courses, because data science is actually the building block of AI, and there are some that are free and guys are taking it highly. And also remember, in Kenya we have 40% internet penetration. We have more than 100% mobile penetration. Guys have smartphones out here.
A lot of guys have. That is true. Yes. When we are looking also at how young people, like you mentioned, are taking up knowledge or causes on AI, technology, and the same. How is the difference between how young men and women are receiving it? Because I've seen articles and different cases where young women are pushed more, into the market or centers to actually do this thing. Right? So define that for us. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But there also needs to be caution in defining AI work. You asked me on how AI or data is trained. Our AI is trained on data. Unfortunately, there are some jobs where, even from big tech, they source local talent here in Kenya because it's cheaper. And you know, you have to...
There's the assumption that now it's the other way around.
You have to sieve data like pornographic data, violent data, you know, and such things. And now they bring that work here. Well, you need to really define what type of talent that you would really like. But on terms of
That's a very good point. I see we assume a lot. I get you.
Yes. But yeah, people are very, very interested in AI, and definitely the market is looking really big. It's growing almost 5-10-fold, and in the future, much of the jobs will be AI engineers, AI researchers, AI in policy and so forth and so on.
All right.
Yeah, we have a report called Fair Work, where we're investigating how fair are our jobs in the gig work, you know, digital economy work.
Right.
And we advocate for principles of fair work. We advocate that there should be fair contracts. One of the reasons that you have alluded to why those data labelers were up on their arms resisting is because there were no fair contracts. There should be no thin line that I don't know what is here. Secondly, there should be fair pay. I think the living wage of Nairobi is 25,000. The basic minimum wage is 15,000, and that's the basic. You know, we should be paid well. So fair pay. There should be also fair representation, where workers should be unionized. There should be an organization or some guys somewhere that actually advocating for fair work for these guys. So if there's no fair pay, fair contracts, fair representation, then we argue that is not fair work.
Got you.
Yes,
All
in
right,
the gig work, because gig workers are exploited a lot. Yes.
Okay then. So what legal framework has been put to make sure that, you know, it's not just said? Because a lot of the issues we have in the country is a lot of legal documents or documentation that says one thing, but when it comes to the implementation of it, there comes the issue. I see you smiling, Joshua. I don't know if you'll take that, or Keith, you'll answer. Or Joshua, you will?
No, I'm just remembering the LinkedIn post that a guy from Vietnam posted and saying that the problem with Kenya is we have a lot of optics. We do a lot of talk, but no action. And there's a lot of truth to that. The Kenya released its national AI strategy last month. Or is it early this month? And it was advocating for Kenya to be a leader in AI. That was the vision, that was the big why of the strategy. And so what is it advocating for government and the private sector to sort of dance so that we may reach AI, the big AI goal, because the government acknowledged that it sometimes lags behind in terms of technology, and it does not want to lag behind, neither does it want to be the stumbling block towards innovation. And so the reason why M-Pesa grew and thrived back in the day is because the government was like, let's observe this new technology, this new innovation, and let's not over-regulate it. And that's why it thrived. The internet right now, the reason why the internet became such a big technology is because lawmakers then said that we are not going to regulate the internet, we are going to regulate the people using the internet. So if you do criminal behavior on the internet, they are coming for you. They're not going to blame the internet. And so I would commend the AI strategy. It's looking really good. But again, as I said, we hope that it's not optics. We hope that it's not all talk, but no execution.
Got you. Now, Keith, as a trainer, one of the things I had mentioned to both of you before we had the interview is there's a demand for training of AI to employees who are coming into different organizations, because it's a skill that is highly needed. But you find that most employers use it as a buzzword. You know, they're not sure what they're asking for. They don't know what costs what. You know, they just say, I need you to come and do some AI training for my people. But people are, like I mentioned, are afraid, but they're also overconfident in what they don't understand. So how do you break this down, especially for different organizations, in accordance to what they need in a practical sense?
Okay, okay, yes, definitely. So when you're training people on what is AI and such things, there are two separate camps: the code, like the code AI, the code AI engineer, the code experts, and the low or no code experts. So you typically don't need to learn how to code to be somebody in the AI space. We are advocating for a sort of generalized, specialized knowledge, particular to your sector. So if you're in the health sector, you do know what AI is, how it works. You don't need to know the code of how AI works, but you just need to know like the basics of the building blocks or how it works, its pitfalls and its strengths, and therefore you're able to implement it properly into your practice. So there's need to separate, of course, low code or no code, and like the tech guys and people who code the architecture. There's also needs to define terms, you know. In the health sector profession, for you to be a pharmacist, you need to do 5 years of pharmacy and then an internship, then you get licensed. You know, it's defined. But in the tech space, some of things are not defined. Who's an AI engineer? Who's a data scientist? And what do you qualify to do such things? Yeah, so it's just coming up with curriculums that suit specific sectors and are helpful to the particular companies.
That's interesting. Like I said, there's so much, you know, assumption around it, and I'll ask this again. So are we also reacting to now, because society, the world over, you know, technology is a big thing, so everyone just wants to get on the wagon, and they are so frantic about it, but they don't know what they're saying. Right? So how do you overcome or go on the other side of not reacting, but actually using it to help you, as opposed to, my God, I actually don't have any AI skills, or I'm not sure I know what AI is, you know?
Yeah, so reaction can be a good thing.
It can?
Yes, because when something happens to you, you must react to it, and AI has come, and we must know how we are going to deal with this technology. But at the end of the day, we must be proactive more than reactive. So we must sit down and understand AI and what are the buzzwords, how do we define AI, and mostly how does it affect my profession or my day-to-day life. So there are very many ways that somebody can build their knowledge about AI. So many YouTube videos that teach about AI, that teach about prompt engineering. Keith mentioned that kids in the US are going to be trained on AI, the same with China. We need to do a lot of AI literacy so that guys may know that AI means artificial intelligence, not artificial insemination. And also so that guys may know how they are going to use this technology for the betterment of themselves and the society, because technology is an enabler. Technology should advance human society. You know, there's a guy who said that AI should help me wash my dishes so that I may write my poems and so that I may do my music, not the other way around. No AI writing my poems and doing my music while it forces me to do my dishes.
Yes, I see what you mean.
Yes.
But isn't that just the fear, like what we said right at the beginning of the conversation, that these machines are becoming way more intelligent than people would be comfortable with, that, you know, it's now mimics us entirely, and then what is left, what are we good at? I mean, a machine can do things way better. That's why we have cars, because we cannot walk to Nakuru. I mean, if you want to, you know.
I would point back to the fear of the unknown. If you stay in the unknown, if you stay in the darkness, then you'll just fear it, you know. But if you just learn properly what AI is, if you take the step to watch a YouTube video, go on Instagram, look at these socials which are pumping out information about AI, then you get a gist of this is what it is, this is what it is. I can confidently use it here, but I'm not so confident here. And as you grow in your knowledge, then I believe you'll be able to now properly use.
Instead of just fearing.
Yeah, instead of just fearing. Yeah.
And to add to that, ultimately there shall only be two types of states after all this AI buzz is over. AI superpowers and data colonies. So the states that embrace AI shall become superpowers. The states that do not will become colonies, because
we're number 4 in Africa. Yes. Are we on our way to become a superpower?
Again,
well, that's a question we have to ask ourselves. What am I doing? What am I doing to become a superpower? But I believe we are on the right track,
yes.
but there's so much to do and there's so much we have done.
With the AI index, there's a goal that is supposed to be reached by 2030. So define that and say how far we are or how close we are to reach that goal. It's 2025.
Yes, we want to have at least 5,000 PhDs in AI in Africa. That's one of the goals. We want to have a lot of AI investment. We are rallying for a 60 billion fund, $60 billion fund to go into AI, and it's basically going to be going into 4 major brackets. One is on data, so that we may develop our own data and our own data sets, so that we may train our AI models on our own data, on our own African data. We also want to develop, digital infrastructure, the data centers that Keith was talking about, so that we may have our own computing power, because computing power is expensive. The reason why DeepSeek became a buzzword recently, it's because it was able to develop its superior AI model at cheaper computing power. They say at $6 million, that's what they say. And of course, talent, the 5,000 PhDs that I'm talking about, and finally market investment, so that...
Hold on to that. And let me get your final thoughts, guys. So I'll begin with you, Joshua.
Yeah, so sometime back there was an organization called Siropac, which set apart Siro Corporation, a part of its organization, to just go out there and think about innovation.
Right.
And out of their thinking, we have the Ethernet, we have the mouse cables, we have the Macintosh technology. So we can see the place of deep thinking in advancing technology. Without the Siro Corporation, we wouldn't have so many of these amazing technologies. Huawei is another example. 55% of their employees are in research and development. And look at how they have become a powerhouse. Their cloud technology, their mobile technology. So if we Africa to move forward, we must invest in research and development, and we must do it collectively as a society, so that we may reach the 4th industrial revolution. Okay,
then. Keith?
Well, Africa has particular challenges that it faces. I'm thinking in the health sector, understaffing maybe, getting overworked. We do have our own unique diseases, and so forth and so forth. Artificial intelligence comes at there's just no better time to be an African, where we can pioneer our own solutions. Don't be afraid to learn AI. Don't be afraid to implement it in your practice. There are ethical considerations. There are things that we must do. We don't just jump without caution. But the future of AI in Africa, what Africa will be, is so beautiful, and you can be a part of it.
I see. All right, then. I think we have just a few seconds before I get into the sports news. Anything that you'd want to add, especially on people not being fearful and just learning what they fear, or like Keith said, learning the unknown?
Yeah, technology is disruptive. It's in its very name. So we do not have to fear disruptive technologies, but see how we will embrace them, so that we may move together as a society.
So if you are fearful about your work or a technology taking over the skill you have, you go into that AI and ask it, how can I be efficient in my work? Is that what you do? Would you suggest that?
Well, yes, definitely. But then there's the aspect of incorporating AI even in your own job. Yeah, and then you're able to do it faster, more efficiently, and you'll even have time to spend with your family.
Okay, Dan, thank you so much for coming in today and giving us this knowledge. It's been an amazing conversation. I've enjoyed it, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Our guests this evening have been Joshua Baru, AI and digital economy expert at Kala, and Keith Mbae, a data engineer and AI researcher also at Kala. Coming up with the sport news.